Hey guys, it's Katie and this is My Life with VEDS. Today I'm going to tell you a funny story about how I got 15 stitches from a cat scratch. This story happened before I knew I had VEDS or Vascular Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome. So when this happened, I didn't realize that my fragile skin was related to an underlying connective tissue condition. That was something that I found out a few months later. So not too far after this story, but still completely unaware at the time. So I had recently moved across the country to Washington State, and I was living in a one-bedroom apartment with my cat. And just a couple months after I moved in, I think maybe 3 months, they needed to do some work on the pipes, the water pipes in the apartment. So I had to board my cat at a facility. And my cat has always had anxiety problems. He's been on medication most of his life to help with that, and I just knew that it was gonna be rough one way or the other, either having him in the apartment with people coming in or having him boarded. So I went ahead and had him boarded. And the day that I went to go pick him up after they were done with all the work, he was super like skittish. He was walking around the apartment and just kind of like hunched over, you know, like how they kind of slink down, like they take their backs and just kind of walk like they're super afraid of everything. So he did this, and I think it was a cup of Ovaltine or something, or a cup of tea that I had with me, and I was watching TV and my cat was sitting on my lap, and he had finally started to calm down, but I knew that he was still a little like jumpy. And I had pajama pants on, I'm on my phone, and I dropped my phone on him. And he launches off my lap, knocks over a picture frame, my Ovaltine or my tea or whatever the heck it was, went flying everywhere, and the cat's across the room, and I looked down and I knew that I was bleeding, and I could see like a little dot of blood like coming through my pajama pants. So I get up and I go into the bathroom to take a look at the damage. I should say I've had a lot of injuries that are kind of odd to my skin like this. So I was pretty much prepared to see whatever. I pulled out my pajama pants and there's a gash like this big, I think, on my upper thigh, like right around my groin area. It is wide open. It was pretty clear that I needed stitches, but I was already in my pajamas and I didn't want to go to the emergency room for stitches. I knew an urgent care center would already be closed because it was late at night, and I think they closed at like 7, the one down the street from my apartment. I had this brief moment of thinking that I could sew it together myself with a sewing kit that I had recently purchased. And luckily, I did not do that. I don't recommend doing that, and I've never done it before. It was just this brief moment of, I wonder if I should use that, because then I wouldn't have to go to the emergency room. And I didn't have anything to sanitize it. I definitely didn't have any iodine or anything like that. So it was a wise decision to just suck it up and go to the ER. The ER was right across the street from my house too, so it wasn't like I would have to go far or anything. I wore my pajama pants, but I decided to put underwear underneath them because I didn't know what the ER was gonna bring. So I put my boots over my pajama pants. I've got my pajama pants, I've got a jacket. I mean, it's cold, it's, you know, whatever. And I've got this one piece of gauze that was left in my apartment that I'm just kind of like holding with pressure underneath these pajama pants. So I drive to the ER, and it's not very long. It's like less than 5-minute drive because it's literally across the street from my apartment. I walk in and the guy asked me, he's like, what's going on? I said, well, my cat jumped off my lap and I need stitches. It is a big gash. He takes my information, and before I go and sit in the waiting room, like I'm looking around and it is full of people like coughing and sick. And I was like, oh no, you know, like I needed to change the gauze on this injury because it was bleeding through. So I let him know. I said, I think I need a new piece of gauze for this. It's bleeding through. And he goes and gets it for me. And he comes back out and I say, hey, so how do you want me to do this without getting this wound infected? And he looks around the waiting room and he says, okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to the bathroom. Don't touch anything. Just go to the bathroom. Don't wash your hands. Don't go in a stall, and just pull down your pajama pants and change it out and come back out. don't touch anything. So off I go. I'm like hobbling through. It's pretty funny. Let me see if I can show you what I did here. I've got the gauze here and I've got the gauze in my hand. Okay, I'm hobbling. I get to the bathroom, it's closed. So I use my foot to open the door and run through it. And there are 2 women in the bathroom. And he told me not to go in a stall and not to wash my hands, not to do anything. And I have never been more grateful to be wearing underwear because I had to pull the pants down real quick, replace the gauze and pull them back up. And I didn't even tell the people in there what I was doing. I just tried not to look at them as I did this. It was hysterical. So then I hobble back out to the waiting room and I sit there for a minute. And of course, like, I'm texting my friends and I'm letting them know how hilarious this situation is, that I am in the emergency room for a cat scratch that needs stitches. I got back in there pretty fast and the guy is asking me what happened and I'm laughing and I'm telling him, there's a different guy, this whole story about the cat jumping off my lap and how I have this big open gash and how hysterical it is and I just need stitches and then I'll be on my way or whatever. He kind of thought it was pretty funny too, I think. But every time I talked to somebody about it, they were just kind of really like, a cat scratch? Like really? Like, was he angry? No, like he was just really spooked and he like launched himself off my lap. You know, no, he didn't do it on purpose. I get back and then a nurse comes in and she, or the doctor I think comes in and she starts irrigating it and getting it ready for stitches and she puts all the Novocaine or whatever it is around it to numb it up and then disappears for an hour and a half. I am sitting there for an hour and a half with this like open wound and no stitches and I can see the Novocaine lines around it where it's like all, you could tell it's numb, like it looks kind of white when it does that to me. And I have to pee really bad. And they had gotten me a gown that is probably a standard size gown, but I am 5 feet tall and 100 pounds and this gown was humongous on me, which is not that big of a deal except for when you try to go to the bathroom in this kind of situation. A nurse comes in, I page them and I say, look, I can't hold it anymore. I really have to go to the bathroom. I had been holding it for almost the entire time I had been at the emergency room. They said, okay, so go ahead and go to the bathroom. Just, you know, we want to keep it clean. So keep the gauze on it and don't remove that hand from there. You know, just keep the gauze there and keep it covered the entire time. Like, no problem. I got this. So I hobble over to the bathroom. I go in and I gather this giant gown into like this elbow right here. You know, I'm holding the gauze here and I've got all of the gown in this elbow. And this is working out fine. You know, like I'm just like holding it all and I'm peeing and I get done and I need to wipe. And I go and grab the toilet paper with this hand and I hear a splash where the gown went into the toilet. I didn't know what to do. Then I decided like, okay, well I can't move my hand off this gauze. So I just like shimmy off the rest of the gown, finish my business and try to wash my one hand. And then I pull a little, like the little string or whatever for a nurse because now I don't have a gown. And she opens the door and she looks at the toilet and she looks at me and she says, I'll go get you another gown. This was the silliest experience in the ER I had ever had. And honestly, like if an urgent care center was open, I would have gone there for stitches because I'm pretty sure they can do those things. But literally all of them were closed and the only option I had was the emergency room. I ended up back in the room for a little while before the doctor came in to stitch it up. It took 15 stitches to stitch this up. And I ended up later getting a tattoo of my cat hanging off of the scar there. You know, this big of a little cat just kind of hanging off. Really probably my funniest injury experience, I think, that I've ever had. Only a few months later, I realized I had VEDS and all of the pieces kind of clicked together, that was why my skin was so fragile. But before this, it was just kind of a normal thing. So by the time I got this injury, I had so many injuries in the past. I had gotten so many stitches before that part of me was like, well, I could do that. Like, I've seen them do it. I could do it just fine. But I did not, and I never have. And I don't recommend doing that either. Thank you for listening to my funny story about my cat scratch. I am sure that many of you listening have had funny experiences like this too, or just weird injuries that happen to you that probably would not happen to anybody else. I think when I told my mom about this story, she's like, man, maybe you should wear pants when he sits on your lap. And I was like, I was. And it just went right through. Like, he's got the sharpest claws on the planet. Stay tuned for more videos about my life with VEDS. If you like this video, I would really appreciate you subscribing to my channel. I'll be posting more videos about my life with VEDS on Saturdays in the afternoon. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you soon.